I'm here with Julie Futcher. Julie, it is so great to have you today. And the
Thank you,
reason for
Scott.
our call, yes, the reason for our call is the recruitment industry. In the UK right now, just how bad is it? I know that you have been training clients in recruitment for, I don't even know how many years. You've got a very special relationship with the recruiters. Has the bottom completely fallen out of the market? Is there hope? Where do we stand?
Where do we stand? Well, I'd be lying to you, Scott, if I said it wasn't a little bit challenging. And it's not been a great sort of week or so for recruiters over here in the UK. Certainly, the permanence market has completely stopped. And there is the temporary marketplace for driving and for industrial and for any areas that are supporting businesses that are classed as key workers over here seem at this stage to be carrying on. But it is challenging. It is challenging for recruitment businesses right now.
Okay, so let's look at some of the positive. Okay, because it can't all be doom and gloom, because there are surely pockets of hope in various sectors, and also certain skills that can be learned, because it can't stay like this forever.
No,
so
it can't.
I know there's a couple of questions. So my first question is, let's be brutal. If you are a recruitment person right now, sitting at home, not knowing what your future is going to be, if you were to sit down and learn a couple of new skills right now, what should those skills be?
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is pivoting, and it's going away from your current specialism. If your current specialism has hit the ground and there's nothing going on, and looking at areas of industry, of business that is actually doing well. So for example, I've just explained that some of my friends that are running businesses that are driving recruitment businesses or industrial recruitment businesses, they're actually doing quite well at the moment because the logistics industry is keeping food on the table and in the shops for us all. And that industry is starting to see an uplift. There are businesses that are recruiting temporary customer service people into sort of areas where we need some sort of support for people sat at home. So here's the thing: pivot, look at where you think you can take your skill set and look at the sectors that are still working. Food manufacturing in the UK at the moment is classed as a key business to be kept open. So, you know, what manufacturing businesses can you supply? If you're a permanent recruiter, you might not want to tap into the temporary market. I quite understand that. But what about short-term contracts, one-off fees? Think about that. You know, think about looking at placing somebody for a couple of months and a one-off fee for that. Those are the things that you could do, I think. I think the other thing, Scott, that, stepping back, so pivoting one thing, being creative, as I call it. The other thing I want to talk about is really honing your customer account management and your customer development skills. And this is your skills on the telephone. So traditionally, a lot of recruiters, we are geared up to do telesales. You know, we want to get vacancies, we want to get sort of business where we can. And yes, okay, that's going to be key, to keep this going, but we've got to do it in a certain way. And we've got to do it with a help, not sell approach. You know, if we are phoning these businesses for the first time, don't come at it and try and push them. Let's do it from a help. How can we help you through this process? What can we do? You might have candidates sat at home that desperately want work. How can you help the businesses that need people get the skill sets that they want? It's the help, not sell. And that is the approach that I'm going to recommend people do.
Okay, so if I had a recruitment company right now, and I'm hearing you correctly, I need to obviously sit down and think of a strategic approach to target certain areas, like you say, possibly go into the contract market, but also in terms of skill set, yes, telesales has been very good, but really it's about now contacting those clients and saying, how can I help you? Where are you at? Let me listen to your pain. And as you know, I mean, one of the reasons why you and I work together is because we both on that same mentality. You know, we look at the pain points. You know, don't start talking about how great you are as a recruitment consultant and how you're going to, we also talked about dropping fees, which we'll chat about in a second.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's about that help, and get to your clients and say, how can I help you? What's your need? Just like almost the government is saying, you know, don't pay your VAT for the next 3 months, which might also be extended. It's almost like saying, let me help you now, but with a view to potentially you paying me later.
Absolutely.
How would you compare that with just going out there and saying, wow, I'll fill your placement now for 10% because you're so desperate? How do you juggle those?
Well, yeah, I think this is an interesting one, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about branding on this sort of point. If you're going out and going, well, for your vacancy, will you fill your vacancy? That can come across, yes, as desperate, but also a little bit pushy. And in this marketplace at the moment, your branding of your business is so key. And what I mean by that is, the actions that you do during this time are going to be remembered, good or bad, when we come back. This is about taking a long-term view. So, you know, for people running businesses in the UK, we've got that buffer of furloughing people. 80% of salaries can be paid. You know, so it may enable you to just take a little bit more of a relax. It's a wrong word to use probably in this market sector, but a little bit of a softer view, which is going to help your brand in the long run. Absolutely. I'm just going to, if I may, just tell you a little bit example of a story that's happened to me only yesterday. You know, to cut a very long story short, I had a business phone because I had to cancel some expenditure. And instead of saying to me, Julie, how can I help you? All they wanted to do was to push me and remind me about the terms of business and how I should have given some notice period. Well, you know, I'm going to remember that. They didn't want to help me. They just wanted the money. I'm not going to be going back to them. What they could have done was said to me, Julie, how can I help you over this next couple of months? So you see, the mindset that I have of that business is not very positive. And for recruiters at the moment, you know, bear that in mind. You know, keep the branding of your business. If you are helping people, if you're extending that hand to say, what can we do to help you? It's going to go a long way. The other thing I would say, and I'm going to steal something that from that webinar that we had with the sales trainers from across the world. I can't remember who came up with it, but it was a suggested action plan. Why don't you suggest, if you're listening to your customers and their pain points, why don't you suggest to them how you can help them?
And I totally agree. And you mentioned something so important, Julie, specifically around how you act now is going to be remembered after we pull out of this crisis. And you're right. And that company will never, in your mind, who spoke to you in that way, you'll never look at them the same way again. No, and I agree, because there's been a lot of this, what we called, same seminar we chatted to, these knee-jerk reactions where it's like, oh, just cut everything. And it's understandable. People need to cut. But as opposed, you know, instead of saying, yes, well, but we have a contract, et cetera, it's more about saying, listen, let's just sit down and have a conversation around it. This is how we can add value. This is how we can, let's just talk about it before, because they need your money, yes. And also your payment subscription could also be used to pay salaries on that side of thing. However, if they're not willing to know how to help, it's going to just crash. And that's what we've done. And hence the reason having these kinds of conversations. So Julie, just to finish off now, you know, if you were to suggest a plan of action, as you called it, for a recruitment company right now, what is the best thing to do? Just take half a day off, sit alone, meditate, or half a day off, sit with your staff, have a conversation, or take a few hours and sit with a consultant like yourself, or just what is the best approach?
I think taking a step back is a very good idea, but not taking a step back and going and crying in the corner. It's taking a step back and first of all looking at who can your new target market be? This is the pivoting that I spoke to you about. Where can we go? Where can we actually try to get some revenue streams? So that would be the first thing I would look at. The second thing I would look at is don't forget your existing customers at this point in time. Give them a call, keep them close, develop those relationships. A call to them to say, how are you doing? You know, how are you personally doing in this time is going to go a long way. The other thing that I'm going to say to you is, you know, this could be an opportunity while you're doing all of that to do a little bit of online training. to sharpen up those skills. You know, if you've got staff sitting at home doing nothing, then why don't you do some online training or training yourself with them? This is a really, really good time to do that. And the other thing to do is, as well, is, you know, where candidates concerned, if you've got candidates who are unemployed, they're going to be scared. They're going to be very worried that, you know, they're going to be sat at home not earning anything at all. So this is where, as I said, you know, you could be, once you develop that target market, keep those people close, phone them, see how they're doing, you know, tell them that you're doing all that you can, make some calls on their behalf, you know, offer them to companies that are busy. And this is where sort of the fees are concerned. And I want to put this in, you know, now is not the time to get as many fees out of this as possible. Now is the time to get what fees you can. And it kind of goes across the grain a little bit from me as a recruiter. But, you know, I remember back when building a business in the recession, we had to drop our fees. We really did. But you know what? I still made money and I still built a credible business during that time. So, you know, cut the money mentality, get some of these people, help some of these people, and it will pay you dividends at the end.
That's a wonderful point. I love that, you know, money mentality, which is so important. Most of us don't have a choice. We're cutting the money.
Yeah.
And that's great, Julie. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the sentiment as well, because, you know, at the moment, as you know, as we have this discussion, especially around pivoting, and where once again you and I work so well, is on this notion as well that if you're going to pivot and target a particular audience, you know, you've got a tool like LinkedIn, which is just with you, and
brilliant.
recruiters know how to use LinkedIn. You can build very quickly that target audience on LinkedIn from who you're pivoting to, and get a very clear message out there. So I agree, you know, these guys do need the strategy. Just to finish off, Julie, where can people get hold of you if they need a shoulder to cry on?
So where we can get hold of me, visit our website, www.thesales-manager.co.uk. You can give us a call on 01604 532 004, or you can email me, julie@thesales-manager.co.uk. Now, what I'm planning to do is next week is I'm very, very happy to offer some free training to any recruiters out there that want to put their staff through maybe a little bit of free training. So if you guys can come to me and email me any subjects that you want some free training on, a couple of our webinars, I am more than happy to do that during this time to help and support you.
Fantastic, Julie. That's really kind of you. Julie Futcher, once again, thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome.